What is up, YouTube? Matt Price with Chrome Donkey here. I just wanted to do a final video on these SeaDoo RXs. I know the last one I did was quite a while ago and we ran into a bit of a paint issue, self-inflicted. So I just wanted to give you guys an update and more than likely bring this playlist to a close. There may be one or two additional videos I come up with, such as what you see on the back of them with the SeaDoo LinQ system. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But the first thing I wanted to do is just kind of give you a quick tour of how well these came out. And to be perfectly honest, I had no expectation that they would come out this clean. You know, big kudos and shout out to the guys and gals over at Viking. 100% going to recommend them to anybody that ever, you know, ask about, you know, paint and any type of just boat upholstery, anything like that that's boat related. I'm definitely going to give you guys a recommendation because they were willing to take these in because, again, it was a complete screw up on my part. Long story short, the paint did not cure properly because of the way I laid it down. So it wound up creating just a sticky mess where basically the paint actually felt like skin, if you can imagine that. Like you could literally just take your finger and move the paint and then it would peel off almost like a bad sunburn, and then under it was still undried or uncured paint. So the challenge was I couldn't fix it myself. I tried sandpaper, I tried some, you know, liquid and chemicals, and nothing I would do would take that off. So I was really left with no options. You know, you can look at doing something like you know, sandblasting, but that's too abrasive for fiberglass. So luckily the guys over at Viking were able to do particle blasting, essentially get it all knocked down back to the bare fiberglass and repaint these for me. So they came out just looking phenomenal. And by the way, of course, the seat cover for that one's right here. But absolutely mirror shine. I mean, the paint just looks phenomenal on these things. And you know, I finished it up with a graphics kit, which is actually not OEM. It's a little variant on the OEM sticker kit. I think it actually looks a lot better. You got the nice, you know, registration letters and all that good stuff. But yeah, I was really pleased with how they came out. I mean, they just look phenomenal. And we took them to the lake for the first time because it's been a long time coming. Definitely want to give a shout out to Jose, my mechanic. He got them both running for me. The blue one over here is a 2001 DI, so it's an RX DI, direct injection, so basically a fuel injected ski. Whereas this one here, the red one, is a 2000 Millennium Edition carbureted version. Exact same motor. It's the SeaDoo 951cc, two-stroke engines. This one here, the 2000, has the block-off plate, so you actually do the pre-mix in the gas tank, 50-to-1. And this guy over here, because it's fuel injected, of course, you don't have to worry with that. It still has all the oil pump mechanisms in place. You just put straight gas in it. So we took them to the lake this Sunday, and the blue one ran flawlessly, ran like a top. There was no issues whatsoever. The thing fires right up almost immediately. And ran perfect all day long. Now, the carbureted version, we ran into a little bit of a hiccup with the carburetor to the point where it runs perfect on the trailer. It revs fine on the trailer. You drop it in the water, it'll idle and start perfectly fine, but as soon as you start to roll on the throttle, you get the typical bogging that you've heard people talk about, where it wants to die, and it takes a little finesse to be able to get it up on plane the way it is right now. So I'm gonna take that one back to my mechanic and let him look at it. He thinks it's probably a carburetor issue, but hopefully we get that one running and we'll be back to 100% working skis. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys an update on them. They turned out really good. You know, I give all the kudos in the world to Viking. Really, the only thing I did on these personally is I did the seat covers, so I did that myself. I did the, you know, handlebar pad recovering. Also added some aftermarket grips, and of course the trigger throttle, which I'm a big fan of. I don't like it's almost like the thumb grip or the palm grip where you squeeze it down. Not really a big fan of that. I prefer the trigger throttle, so I did that on both of them. And of course the graphics kit, I put that on myself, and I think that, you know, went on really well. I did the traction mats, black tip on both the traction mats and the seat cover. They went on really well, I thought. Definitely put my Chrome Donkey badging on the back because, you know, we do all the work, and whenever these things eventually get sold, it's almost like a calling card, right, of who actually did the restoration. So that's on there. And everything else is, you know, runs great. Just got to get this one tuned up with the carb. Now what I'm going to do here, I've got to wait until I actually can find a LinQ accessory. I'm going to see if I can't get the LinQ cooler to begin with, and I'm also going to look at the LinQ compatible fuel tank. But I think I have enough room on the back of this ski to actually custom fab the LinQ brackets. They're not going to be too, you know, in the way, especially if you're not hauling anything. As a matter of fact, they almost might give you an extra hand grip if you need to pull yourself up on the ski. You can just grab onto those because they'll be secured into the actual fiberglass body. But the only thing I worry about is this point. I don't know if that protrudes too far to fit the LinQ accessory here. It depends on how deep the accessory is, because I would imagine these will have to be mounted almost at the very rear of the ski to give it enough clearance. But I'm not going to mess with doing anything on this until I get a hold of the LinQ accessory, because the last thing I'd want to do is take these giant screws, screw into the fiberglass, get the brackets installed, and never be able to use them. But that's the next project. I've got to wait till I get the accessory. The other thing, and let's see, they're down here. The other thing that I did is installed the SeaDoo bumpers. Now, this was something that I really looked for different options on the bumpers or fenders or whatever you want to call them. But the issue is, if you pull up next to a dock, and most of the docks that, you know, I've personally seen, sometimes you'll have the flat part of the dock that goes from where you walk straight down into the water, and it's part of what makes the dock float, of course. But then on the front or the rear side of that little bumper pad, there's nothing. It's just water under there. So what'll happen is the tail end of the ski will drift under there, and then with the waves, you're hitting this all along the dock, this side panel here, and sometimes up here, you'll bump into this. So I wanted some sort of mechanism so I didn't jack up my nice clean paint job. So I decided to go with the OEM SeaDoo bumpers, and it was actually fairly easy to install. You just drill one hole through the edge of the actual lip here, and then it comes with those two screws that you also need to pre-drill, and they secure it very, very well. And literally this pin just goes right through that hole. And then on the bottom side, you can see that it actually, that pin will, if I can get an angle on this, the pin will clip into the actual fender like that. And sorry for the angles on this, I can't get the phone any closer to the ski, but basically that pin clips into this little lip, and that's what kind of keeps it secure. And by no means, this is not the most secure thing in the world. It's not like you need to ride the ski. They would come off in about 2 seconds. But when you're just sitting there up against a dock, plenty of resistance, plenty of hold. And at the end of the day, the way I do the skis is I typically tie them up to the point where there's not a lot of movement. So basically these are always resting against the pier. That way you don't run the risk of having the front, the nose kind of come in or something like that. And these work really, really well. And they're also easy to remove, and they're easy to stow. They're not that big. I mean, if you look at that versus like the size of my hand, it's not really a giant fender that you have to worry about storage. Just toss them down in your bin and you're good to go. So yeah, I think they turned out really well. So now it's a dilemma of, do I keep these or do I sell them? So that's something that we had so much fun on them yesterday. Probably going to hang on to them for a while, but time will tell. So thanks for stopping by the channel. I'm going to leave you guys with some footage of us on the lake. We actually went to Lake Allatoona, found a really good waterfall that we were able to get back up to because it was really shallow back there, but for skis, that's one of the bonuses. And we also happened to stop and eat lunch at the Blue Cat Lounge. So for those of you who watch the Ozarks on Netflix, that's actually where that show is staged, at the Blue Cat Lounge or Blue Cat Lodge. And now it's JD's Barbecue. I think it's called JD's on the Lake or JD's on the River or something like that. but it's a barbecue joint, and it was phenomenal food, and it was really cool to actually see that movie set, or that show set, if you will, of where they actually filmed the Ozarks. So fun day at the lake. The only last thing I will say is, fuel-wise, I was sincerely impressed with how little gas these things actually used, especially the DI. I mean, we actually went, and I'll try to paste the coordinates in the description of the video. We put in at the Blockhouse boat ramp, went all the way up the river to the Waterfall, which is literally traversing the entire Lake Allatoona, and then back to put them back on the trailer. And the blue one barely came off a full tank. I think it's still sitting at 3/4 of a tank, and that's a long way on a ski. And the red one here, the carbureted one, used about half a tank. That's another thing that I'm gonna have to fix on this one. The fuel sending baffle has probably blown the fuse, so I don't have any fuel gauge right now on this red one. But that's an easy fix with just a fuse replacement. So literally they went all the way up and back down the lake, and even the one that uses the most gas only used about a half a tank. So fun day at the lake, and we'll definitely have to get out there again. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like if you enjoyed this video, and the notification bell so you'll get notified when I post new videos and new content. Thanks so much for stopping by. Stay safe and stay healthy, and enjoy your day.